Nata kajalo ganyandi nyulla nata o kajolo fanam fintindi Facebook oto YouTube Facebook oto boyko YouTube Gambia Talent muna promotion lem Gambia Talent muna promotion ngonda jaworo de maribunga wate muna ngejubele wate muna ngela moile wate muna ngela kuomila Gambia Talent woy ngoye dulle nata oy kantol kidimandi kantol sewondi kantol nganyandi Gambia Talent muna Gam Talent woy awali pa Usman Diouf inimba
la kanole dun sana nyinyala koni ala dalo dun tana Gambian Talents alla kano yenyala mandi apachaki alla boylo nyancho Jollof Arts
Iba kuriya munna nafate kuriyala Iba jawya munna nafate jawya labi Iba kuriya munna nafate kuriyala Nafigi la sila manja Ula bambali la sila manja Uya fala la sila manja Ngomari masale bokelela Nafigi la sila manja Jakula bambali la sila manja Uya fala la sila manja Muna ngomari masale bokelela Yo Gambia ntalam albadi malam nena jeli suso ntene bali janto bi Gambian Talent show mamo be tantalam bal jayla albadi malam the queen of manding nena jeli suso the golden voice wow mbal tantalam bal jayla baake bafala ko album o kanale December on the Benjamin Hall akana fo mo ko mashallah Gambian Talent show.
Thank you for calling APS. You through to Aisatu. How may I help you?
My name is Aliu. I'm holiday maker in the Gambia and heard about your holiday cash service and want to know how it works.
Our holiday cash allows you to withdraw money in Dalasi using your credit or debit card through our POS system with no additional charges. This can be done both online through the phone as we are speaking or when you visit our head office at 55 Kairaba Avenue.
I am presently in Wuli Sutukonding and wants to send $10,000 to myself and I want to do it right away. My card number is...
Aliu, your reference number is APS 123456 but it's after 4 p.m. already and the banks will close soon. But you can receive your money today with our APS home cash delivery service.
Where can I receive it?
Our agent in Wuli Sutukondi will contact you to arrange delivery of your cash to your home.
Is this where Alu Jallo lives?
Yes, that's myself.
My name is Alfuseni Jawla from APS Money Transfer Limited and I come to deliver a transfer to Mr. Alu Jallo. Alu, can you please confirm your APS reference number for your transaction? Yes, this is fine, Alu. And could I also have proof of ID, please? Please confirm the amount is correct, Alu, and send the receipt for me.
Thank you, APS. You are simply the best.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are watching us or listening to us from. This is your favorite show coming your way from the Gambian Talents TV. face à face jàkkaarloo ak Pa Ousmane Diouf ñu leen koy indil nag every week on Monday at 5 p.m. Gambian time. We apologize for the late start of the show. Yes, we are back today. We were here last week and here we are. Yesterday we brought you a special program, of course, Hanging with the Stars. You all are aware of the annual Open Mic Festival, the biggest Gambian event, of course, that comprise of Gambian musicians. It's coming up the 28th of this month, which is this coming Friday. Yes, great Gambian artists, a lot of Gambian artists, our celebrities, our talents will be there to showcase what they have. Naturally, yes, this is where we are. Yesterday we brought you these people, of course. I mean, Wagan was in the studio together with the Open Mic Festival team, the artists that will be performing. Of course, the past 2 days we've had those young people, those talented young people in our studios in the Gambia. Wagan was there with Attack, Wagan was there with YD, Wagan was there with Biggie Rosie. Tomorrow, of course, we'll bring you another one of those interviews with, yes, after we brought you the upcoming artists as well as the female artists, we will bring you the giants, of course, the big cats and the big dogs in the building. Hopefully we'll be having Royal Messenger, T-Smalls and Big Far in the building. Today is Face à Face, ni ma koy defee saa su nekk rek di jàkkaarloog suñuy ndaanaan. Duma dalal ben como, duma dalal ben tune, duma dalal kenn koo xam ne du bawdo ci programme bi nii. We bring you prominent Gambians, we bring you great Gambians, we bring you legendary Gambians, and actually tell their untold stories. In our studios right now, all the way in Kanifing, is Mr. Demba Ali Jawo, former information minister for the Gambia. Mr. Jawo, greetings to you.
Good evening.
You're looking sharp there, my fuller son.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Glad to have you in our studios. Mapare Pudjaka Lok Yorek to have a conversation, a tete-a-tete and one-on-one with you. It's our first time having you on our platform, and say hello to our listeners and viewers.
Hello, listeners and the viewers. I'm really happy to be here.
We are glad to have you. Face à face la wax ma jàkkaarloo ak yow. For those of you that are watching us through YouTube, our guest today on the Face à Face show is Demba Ali Jawo, former information minister for the Gambia. And those of you that are watching us through Facebook too, thank you all for watching. If you are just joining in, this is Face à Face with Demba Ali Jawo, former information minister for the Gambia. If you have any question for Mr. Jawo, you can send them through to us. You can send them our way, and we'll be glad to post them to him. Anything you want to know about DA and the portfolios that he has served in, we will be talking to him about some of those personal stuff. You might have seen several interviews with DA. It's important for these stories to be told so that at the end of the day, the younger generation, the kids, will get to know the realities of what is happening or in what capacity these people have served and what they did, especially while they're in office and things like that. So if you're just joining us, it's the Face à Face show on the Gambian Talents TV. Pa Ousmane Diouf behind the microphone. Please don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If this is your first time watching, if you are watching through Facebook, the same thing. Don't forget to like our page. And of course, Gambian Talents, like I always tell you guys, is our non-commercial public broadcasting network, online network. And we rely wholly and solely on you, our viewers and listeners' support. We don't want to rely on government. We don't want to rely on commercial sponsorship. We want to rely on you, our viewers and listeners. We want to be your ears. We want to listen with your ears. We want to look with your eyes, and we want to talk with your mouths. So therefore, the difference between a member and a listener in public radio or broadcasting is active participation. You can participate by subscribing to our channel on Facebook. If you are looking right now, right next to the share button, between the comment and the share button, you will see a green circle there with a love sign or a heart in it. If you click on that, It will, of course, take you to a secure site where you can donate to us $5 a month. We will be able to bring you the fact-based journalism and the programming that you all look forward to. Tonight, our team are set to go out and cover the Christmas Eve Mass that are taking place in the Gambia. Tomorrow, we will be in Banjul to bring you all the different programs. Hunting you Safa Safi. Egere, we will be there at Fijaral to bring you the Egere in the evening. Earlier in the day, we will be bringing you the hunting, the Zimbas, the Kankurangs, and all the things that are happening in Greater Banjul area. And of course, the New Year's is also coming. We'll bring you those. So Tobaski at Christmas, so Tobaski at Korite, again in programs, we bring you all of those things. And yes, we are back to bring you those programs. Through your support, your financial support, we'll be able to do those better. So I thank you all for watching. D.A Jawo, welcome once again. And I would like to know, for the sake of our listeners who don't know Demba Ali Jawo, maybe a lot were younger or were not following media in the Gambia years ago. Of course, 2 years ago, you talk about a year and a half ago, President Barrow information minister is Demba Ali Jawo. A lot could have been wondering, who is Demba Jawo? We would like to know your credentials, your credibility, your educational background, academic background, family background, and the like. Of course, Fala Demba Jawo Jar, pour ñi xamut who you are, for them to get to know. So you don't think I'll D.A Jawo, in short, what will you tell us? How would you describe yourself, or who can you tell us you are?
In a very short way, Demba Jawo is just any other Gambian. I've been through it all over there. I was born in the CRR, that is in the district of Nyamina, a village called Choya. That's where I was born. I was educated there in the local primary school. And well, my education was very, very interesting in the sense that when it was time to go to school, my dad actually picked my younger brother, who was supposed to go to school. I wasn't supposed to go to school at all. But somehow along the line, my younger brother was sick and he died, so my dad had to replace me with him. That is how I went to school. So my going to school was very, very accidental.
I wanna stop you there for a second. You say it was accidental. Why your younger brother and not you? Are you the firstborn of the family? Was it that elder? The oldest son don't go to school. What was the motive?
No, firstborn. But actually, because when it was time to send somebody to school, some people came there and asking the villagers to actually pick out children. At least every compound should pick out at least one child and send them to school, because they were opening school in the school, and they wanted all the village elders to at least send one child to school. So, my dad chose my younger brother, because I was there, a bit older than the age to go to school. And he chose my younger brother to go to school. But just before the school started, my younger brother got sick and he died. So, he had to replace me with him. That is how I went to school. So I was definitely not identified to go to school. So that's why I say my going to school was really accidental.
I'm glad you are using that. Your former boss, I will tease him, President Barrow, is crowned as an accidental president. So you are an accidental student, right?
Definitely. My going to school was really accidental. I was never, there was not an intention in the family to send me to school.
So is it because there was no school in the area? Is that what it is? Because there was no school in the area?
No, of course there was a school, but it was a bit far away from the village. So there was this intention to set up a school in the village, because the school, the next school was about 6 kilometers away from the village. You can imagine that was very far away for young children to be traveling. So, they decided to set up the school in the village. But the intention was all the elders of the village have to promise that at least every compound will send one child. And my dad, picked my younger brother to go to school. So he should have gone to school if he had time. Okay. But unfortunately, he died, and that's how I actually went to school. So it was very, very accidental that I went to school.
Mr. Jawo, can you look in my can you look in my camera? Yes, and talk to me in my camera. Yes, right there.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I mean, yes, as I said, the school was definitely accidental.
Okay, so I would like to know is okay. A lot of the elders back then did not send their kids to school. I mean, there could be different reasons, but in your case then, or your community's case, it was accessibility, right? Accessibility was the reason. Like you said, 6 miles.
Accessibility was a very important factor.
Okay.
Accessibility was definitely an important factor. But the other factors were, it was not easy to convince the people and that part of the world, that part of the country then to send their children to school. They were eager about it. And knowing that the school was a bit far away from the village, so the people were not eager actually to send their kids all the way to that school. So that was the reason why it was decided to to set up school in the village there. And all the elders agreed. At least at least when a compound could be school. And that was how my dad advised my younger brother. Unfortunately, before the opening of this school.
Then the Gambia must have gone a long way then, right, when it comes to education?
Oh, yes. Very, very long way. Then you will see a whole village without not a single person going to school. Yeah, it was not unusual at that time. That was a long time ago, though.
As recent as 2 weeks.
We've gone definitely a long way.
As recent as 2 weeks ago, though, we saw the National Assembly member for Busumbala, Sekuba Jabi, was in actually CRR, I think, and he posted some pictures of kids sitting on Basang on mats. I mean, writing, doing tests and homework. I mean, you can imagine in 2018 we have kids sitting on mats in Gambian schools and actually doing their tests and homework, and we are complaining and talking about the poor performance of kids, where after the WASC results are announced last year and the years before, we have less than 500 kids having 5 credits or more to be able to get into the university. How was some of those struggles you growing up as a child? Did you have to sit on mats? How was it like being a student at that young age, or your primary school life?
It was definitely, it was not easy at all. I mean, the facilities were very rudimentary. I said, like all the, of course, we had chairs, we had desks, those rickety kind of chairs and desks, and sometimes you sit and then it will collapse and other things. So the very rudimentary facilities. But at least we've got, as we say, we've definitely come a very, very long way. I can imagine that time in the 60s, at least, that part of the country, definitely education was not given the priority at all.
At what point did you come to the Combos?
After I finished the primary school, I had to come to Crab Island. That was in 1966. Because the time, as I went to school when I was kind of much grown up, So as you know, at that time, there was a strict rule that you must be not of 12 years of age before you would sit to the common entrance. After 12 years of age, you will not be eligible to sit to the common entrance. And then by the time I was finishing the primary school, I was definitely beyond 12 years of age. But, somehow they allowed me to sit to the common entrance exams. But because I was rushed, I didn't do I didn't finish primary 2. I just jumped to primary 3. And then, before the end of primary 3, I was taken to primary 4. And until the primary 6, I was also have spent at least 6 years in the school, but only 3 years I spent in the school. I had to sit to the common entrance exams. And then you can imagine,
what was responsible for that? What was responsible for that? Was it your age? Paul nga sama mola defaralon cheese. Sa cheese mambi mo don dox sa bop bi.
Because because of my age, you don't rush against, there was this cut-off age of 12 years.
Okay.
Beyond 12 years, you are not allowed to sit with permanent. There was
Okay.
this strict rule then. So because of my age, you don't rush up. Let me meet that. So a lot of time you might jump out from one class to the other.
But you were performing though. They were not just pushing you. I remember they used to call it pushing. They were not just pushing you.
Definitely, yeah.
You were performing.
Definitely, that was one of the reasons why they were pushing me, because I was doing much better than some of the kids in those classes. So they decided to take me to higher classes. Until at the latter part, then I sat to the common entrance exam, but I wouldn't make it to the senior secondary school, so I had to go to junior secondary school. That was how I went to Crab Island. In fact, after I finished Crab Island in the 1970, it was, we sat to the final exams. I was supposed to go to St. Augustine to continue my education at St. Augustine. But again, I couldn't go because of the fact that, my parents didn't have the means. And also, my deck on Banjul, again, it was on a very trying condition. So, I thought probably I just didn't have the stamina to continue education. So, one, so my parents say, the means for me at the senior secondary school. And also, because I deck on Banjul, I just didn't have the stamina to go any further. That was it. I went and, I started teaching as an unqualified teacher. Then I, after 1 year teaching, Madam Yundum College to train as a teacher. And after 2 years in the college, I left and I joined the GUC as a stores clerk. Yeah.
Okay. I would assume, or I think would be right to conclude that your parents didn't go to school themselves. So how was it like for back then? We know that, okay, our parents' biggest assets were their kids, especially male kids. They help with the farm work and a lot of things. How easy was it for your dad to allow you to go to Banjul, to go to Banjul to continue your education?
I can assure you, it was not easy at all. At one stage, my dad even decided that he was going to withdraw me from school because, as far as you're concerned, I was more needed in helping, at the farm as well as helping to herd the cows and other things rather than going to school. But thanks to, I had an elder brother who was definitely eager that I should continue in school. So, after I push and pull with my dad, he managed to convince him that I should be allowed to go ahead and continue my schooling. That is how I went to school. But, at one stage, he definitely wanted to.
Yeah, I must say it's my generation and yours, there's a big gap. But even for me, my dad, we lived in Farafenye, and my dad would always take us to his home village, Kerbiram, where he had his farm. And dama da nekk di dog gerte mi mumati di rite di dor, and some point I told him something that I never remembered until about 12 years ago. May he so rest in peace. 12 years ago he came to America. I was taking him places. We were going to I was taking him to different places, and one day I was driving with him. He just shook his head and laughed and held my hand and was like, "Walay dom li nga waxon deug la, gis na ko legi." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Mu ne ma axankay bi nga nekkee xale dama la yóbbu kër biram pour nga dem béyi foofu noonu ngay dog suma tiga ji ma di la riite di la dóor ngene ma man duma béykat jàngkat laa. So that's the statement he remembered, and he told me, Nema, me coming to America and seeing you taking me places and all the things you are doing, he was proud of me. He told me, okay, gis na legi ling ma doon wax ne yow doo béykat jàngkat nga. But it was very tough for him to accept. He thought that, okay, farming was the way for us. He was taking us from Farafenye. I don't regret the experience I have there, but he thought, okay, farming was the only way, and knew we had to be farmers.
Yeah, Lola, I'm going to force on Laganeka Baker. I'm going to go buy share of the drug is American.
Wow, they go tie, okay? The more is America tie, so what the phone by cat manget kerviram, the pay for. But thank God, I mean, that we've all gone a long way, and at least we had some education, which is very, very important. Yeah,
it was really, really an intensive period in that part, in that era. It was a very, very difficult, particularly for those of us from the province,
Now,
there were no, in the area, for instance, there was no, post-primary school around that area. All the schools around that area were primary schools. So when you finish the primary school, you are either going to all the way to, Georgetown, then, or you go to Banjul, Greater Banjul area, and you can imagine, what it meant. Sometimes my parents didn't anybody around this area, so getting even somebody, a guardian around was a problem.
So did you ever come to Banjul before going to school, or you just came when you were set to go to school?
No. I've never been to Banjul then. I came here first time when I was going to school. So
let's talk about life in Dongo Banjul then. You coming from the village, you must be looked at as a rookie. How was the first day? As the first time being a new Banjul is, you seeing the big difference, I would say. How was that experience like?
It was really, really hard, to adjust within the atmosphere. I was used to the village life, very simple life in the village, and suddenly, to the city with all those cars and, so many people.
Street lights.
It was confusing. I hardly went out of the compound much because I'm going to particularly in fact, I'm writing my own life history, an autobiography, and I'm going to describe all those details, how I came to Banjul, what things were like, and other things. So as soon as I'm ready,
Banjul because man it wa up la, they call us wa up. So did you go through that bullying wa Banjul? You intimidate la fok ne nyola gena bad, nyola gena smart, nyola gena nehel and the like, or call you wa up boy up yini. Did you have to go through that process?
No, it was a real difficult adjusting period to go through. It was not easy at all, absolutely. But I just imagine that even the language, I was not familiar with Wolof then. I couldn't speak a word of Wolof. I came there, and things were really tough. But somehow I had to push my way until finally, I started picking words here, a few words here and there. And I had friends among Dongo Banjuli. That's how I got acclimatized, but it wasn't easy at all.
Maybe your friends or their kids would be watching. So who were your first friends in Banjul? Your first friends, eh? Who were they?
I honestly, I know most of them were schoolmates, Bokalon, Travel, and all the adjacent schools again. Now,
tell us their names. We want to know their names. Nyanla Uncle D.A don't hang with. Who were your friends back then?
Along the way.
Give us a couple of names.
I definitely remember. I remember I had a very good friend called Keba Fati then. He lived somewhere in, was it Grand Street? I can't remember it. I had somebody called Miniru Gillen, who was a classmate of mine. And then later on in life also, I had friends like Madi Ceesay, of course, your girl's dad, and several others as well. Because even after I left school, I used to live in Banjul, and while I was working in the GUC as well, I lived in Banjul. I had very good friends. In fact, at one time, I was even a member of the Banjul North Zonal Committee, when we were, a committee which was actually taking care of the youth activities and other things. So I had very good friends among the people of Banjul. And up to now, I have very good friends as well amongst them. Yeah.
You are watching and listening to the Fasa Faso here on the Gambian Talents TV. Pa Usman Diouf is your host, and my guest is D.A Jawo, of course, in the Gambia, former information minister. Some of the people that are watching on Facebook are sending in some comments. Salum Mbay Mune Pa Usman, how about you let your guest introduce himself? He had already done so. Mune, what has that to do with President Barrow? President Barrow was elected by a majority of Gambians. You call that accidental Young Samate say they are not true journalists. Salom said, Pa Usman, what is the purpose of the interview? Aisa Tufai Nelson Mune, that guy is really a great guy, very humble. Haddington Street, he always with his books. I don't know who he's talking about. Who did you have who lived in Haddington Street who was always with books? Do you remember a friend?
Yeah, I lived in Haddington Street.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I love books, of course. Probably she's referring to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to answer to Solomon, if you are following, maybe you have not been following Fasa Fast, but Fasa Fast is a show in which we actually talk to people not only about a particular issue, but about their life. Bugaham and Jar Jar, we are documenting these things for our kids. We don't just bring anybody to the platform. Of course, whoever we bring, we want to know a little bit about you and Jar Jar and the like, especially if you have handled certain positions of responsibilities like D.A Jawo has. It's important for the kids to know who he is. By documenting these things, it's important. So we hope you understand that. Bomils Ture is watching from YouTube. He and he made some comments as well. Ture Modlamin said, "Hi bro, good job." Bomils says, "Wow, English program." Same Dabo said, "I would really appreciate it if you do your program in local language, but nevertheless." Bomil Ture said, "No, the English one is nice." Of course, you get them back and forth. This one says English, this one says Wolof kon ñu jahas bahas rek uncle. Same Dawo says, "I'm proud to be African product." But me say that's very true statement, but there are other people who are non-Africans that are showing interest in Africa and would be very much love to hear it in English. Even Africans from other parts of the continent. Those are just some of the comments that are coming through. Those of you watching us through YouTube, thank you. Those of you watching us through Facebook as well, we appreciate your comments. Now we go to your work life and experience. You work as a teacher trainer, right, at the Gambia College. Is that what you said? After graduating, what was your first job? What was your first job after graduating?
No, actually, I never graduated from the Gambia College. I'm by a school in 1970. I went into UQ teaching, that is unqualified teaching. No, that was just it. Then my sit to the college entrance exam. I passed them to the college. I spent 2 years at the college, but again I didn't complete the college. I left and then went to the GUC as a stores clerk.
What was responsible for this? Was it because of the conditions of the parents? Because I remember even some of my family, like myself, our parents always wanted us to work. They were eager for us to work and make money. Is that what was responsible? Because yangi wacha wala jehalu law school continue janga, to them that was wasting. After high school, they think that's it. You should be going to seek employment. Is that the reason why you didn't continue your education? Higher education?
Not necessarily. Yeah. Actually, man, it's not a parental influence at all. When I came at the college after 2 years, I found definitely I was not cut out of it. In fact, my second year teaching practice, I didn't pass that. So I was given the option, either to, options, either to resign from this and do something else, or that is, or repeat, or other things. So I decided, I got an employment with the UC. I got that opportunity. So rather than risking going, and continuing with this thing, when I definitely was not put out of the teacher, I decided to them to GUC. That's how I went to the GUC.
Okay, so you went to GUC and rose through the ranks. What was the last rank you held there?
Yeah, that's very wrong. I began as a store clerk, and then suddenly I was sent to the UK to do some management studies on stores and pricing, and I came back from the UK. I was promoted to the assistant stores officer, that is the head of the stores department, assistant to the head of the stores department. But while I was in that process, then you transfer me to another sector, to the administrative section as the personnel executive officer. So, and then in 1993, UC was taken over by MSP, and I was one of those people who was retrained. So I went to the Humanity UC. Actually, I was doing some journalism as well. In fact, it was during that time, I was at UC, that I had the opportunity to go and do my diploma course in journalism at the Berlin Institute of Journalism in Germany. So that was 1991. So I came back from there. And in 1993, then I left UC to join the Daily Observer. And then at the Daily Observer, till I rise through the ranks up to the position of Vito. And again, 1999, the Amadou Samba Jende Daily Observer. Then till I terminated my service there, because apparently because I was critic of the government, and the AFPRC government was not comfortable in the things that I was writing in the Daily Observer. So I terminated my service there.
Before we get to that, Mr. Jawo, I just want to come here. You talked about GUC. I mean, of course, now all that we hear is NAWEC. So GUC was the first Gambian utility company, right?
Yeah, it was called Gambia Utilities Corp until 1993. Till it was leased to I think it's the German company called MSG, Management Services Gambia Limited.
Okay.
And then you take over the management of GUC. So and they had to downsize because so many people had their services terminated. There was this retrenchment because then we were downsize the size of the company. So non by that.
Yeah, it's important for the younger generation to know this, because a lot think, okay, NAWEC, it has been NAWEC forever. So it started as GUC, then MSG, and then later NAWEC, and NAWEC been there for a minute now. It's important to bring these things out for the purpose, for the sake of the younger generation.
Started as GUC, then MSG. After the MSG, then you came to the NAWEC, that is National Water and Electricity Company. So. But initially it was called GUC.
So you left and you get into journalism. You left GUC and you got into journalism, right?
Yeah. Even actually, since manake GUC, I don't do freelance journalism. Not full time then. I was just doing freelance journalism. It was in fact during the time we manage GUC that madam on a journalism course. I took off. I had I had to apply for leave and then went on studies for diploma in journalism in Germany.
How was the electricity? How was the electricity in the Gambia then during GUC's time compared to now?
Well, up to 1977, actually the electricity was stable. Well, at least for Banjul area, because then not many places had electricity supply at that time. While Banjul was stable until 1977 when was this the big engine at the Habdai power station, which was, because then Kotu power station was not in operation then. We had Habdai power station which was supplying Banjul area. Then the big engine in the power station blow up in 1977. And since then we had this problem of load shedding. Popular Ferry started, this load shedding, extensive load shedding. But before then, it was a bit stable, definitely.
If you say stable, 24 hours a day, some hours during the day. What was it? How was it like?
Not maybe not continuously 24 hours. That used to be lots. Electricity. Blackouts from time to time. What was not very frequent then. It was then supplying only Banjul and maybe a few parts of the KMC as well. But electricity was definitely not as widespread as is today.
Okay.
So other places like Mansa Konko, Pase, Georgetown, had power stations as well. Were also supplying in a limited way. But electricity was definitely much more stable until after 1977, after the big engine between blew up. I can still remember that was on a Tobaski day, in fact. So the engine blew up and there was an extensive, blackout in the Great Banjul area in particular. So since then, we've been struggling with this idea of this problem of electricity.
Okay.
And since then, we never had it as good as it was prior to that time. Yeah.
So you had a specialization in journalism, an interest in journalism. Did you specialize in any form of journalism, or were you just freelancing and being was all over the place?
Well, at that time, journalism did not. I mean, we didn't have any journalism schools in this country. That everybody had learned on the job. I mean, I was lucky in the sense that I had somebody, W. Dixie Colley, that is the editor of the Nation newspaper. I used to spend all my time with him. And every time I close from work, I spend my whole time at his place at 3 Box Bar Road, where he used to produce the Nation. Popular Janga in journalism, under his watch. Well, again, even prior to that, in Maneke Paisa, the Madan Pindan letters to the editor, we penned some short articles, and then they were published in some of the newspapers like the Gambia Outlook of this M.B. Jones, and then also Maneke GC, the Madan Pindal, other publications like West African Magazine, African Now, and other international publications as well. The Madan Pinda and used to have my article published there. Why Limagena actually trigger into becoming a full-time journalist was in 1979, just before my leave for the UK for studies. I had this article published in the Nation, the front page of the Nation. That is Dixon Colley, paper Dixon Colley, the Nation, and it was very critical of things that were going on in the police. Very critical. And then I was arrested. Police arrest me. I was detained at the the CID office for almost 2 weeks.
Really?
Then I detained there the whole day that day.
You were a freelancer then?
I mean, yeah, of course I was writing, freelance,
okay.
And I had this article published in the Nation.
So the arrest of journalists then has been the arrest of journalists in the Gambia didn't start. During Yaya Jammeh's time then, right?
No. It didn't. I mean, I was arrested and detained. And Dixon Colley was arrested. Several other people were arrested during the Jawara regime as well. So it didn't start with Yaya Jammeh. It's not that it became worse under the Yaya Jammeh regime, but I mean, definitely, it has been going on. So when you arrest on me, detain me the whole day, then they let go in the evening, and they asked me to report back the following day. So on a daily basis, every day they asked when I report, I had to spend my whole day sitting down at the CID office for almost 2 weeks. So, afterwards, I really decided not to go back. Right? That was the end of the matter. Then, about 2 weeks later, I leave for the UK for my study. So when I came back from the UK, because of the interest that the journalists like Dayda Hydara, for example, and Dixon Colley and other senior journalists had in me, they made a visit at the police station where I was detained. So, I decided to join the Gambia Press Union. So it was in 1980 that I applied and became a member of the Gambia Press Union.
Oh, okay. So you came back and you were working at the Daily Observer. You mentioned earlier that it was in '99 when Amadou Samba bought the paper that your service was terminated. What was your position at the time?
Yeah, then I was the news editor of the Daily Observer. And where you have the editor-in-chief, you have news editor, several other editors responsible for, as news editor, one man responsible for assigning journalists coverage and things of that nature. So by the time we terminated my service at the Daily Observer, and I was at the position of the news editor.
Oh, okay. What was the reason for the termination?
Well, the only reason they gave me on the letter that they gave me was that they were restructuring the company. But everyone knew the reason why they were. Because somebody on this weekly column, it used to be called Focus, and it was not very complimentary to the government. There was every week I would look at a topic and they extensively write on that topic, analyze it. It was a political analysis, as mostly criticizing aspects of the government. And so the government were not happy. Definitely, the AFRC were not happy with that. So I have no doubt that that was the reason why my services were terminated. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You worked there. You mentioned Dayda Hydara. In what capacity did you know Dayda Hydara?
Well, actually, I like everybody else in this country. Dayda was at Radio C. He was the manager of Radio C, and he was quite a well-known guy in town. But my personal interaction with Dayda started when I was detained by the police. You know, he and Dixon Colley used to visit me at the police station where I was detained. So that's how I, came to contact with him at a personal level. And when I went on my course to the UK and I came back, I thought it was time then to join the GPU, and then that was the vice president of the GPU then, and that is then we used to call the chairman. He was the vice chairman, and Henry Jones was the chairman, and Dixon Colley was the secretary general. So I applied and I joined, became a member of the Gambia President. So to my interaction with Dayda and all the other journalists came to as well.
What can you tell us about him? If you were to describe Dayda Hydara, how would you describe him?
Oh, Dayda was really a journalist par excellence. Was really committed to the profession, and he was very much interested in the pursuit of press freedom in this country. He did everything he could. He did a lot of sacrifice, particularly in the GPU, that is the Gambia Press Union, in the Dayda and Dixon College, were two main sponsors of the Gambia Press Union there. Running the union was not an easy thing because we needed money to run the union, and members were hardly subscribing, paying their contributions. So it was mostly Uncle Dixon Colley and Dayda Hydara, and Gani Alice Sembosi, the kind of sponsor the GPU.
Oh, okay. Interesting to know. You took over from him. You took over as president of GPU from Dayda, right?
Yes, I did.
The GPU has gone a long way. Yesterday, they launched the Gambia Media Council. When you were there, what were some of the things you accomplished?
Yes, but this media consulting, it has been a long story. It's a long struggle with GPU. Because what happened was the government had always attempted to create a press council, which that is a statutory body which is going to regulate the work of the journalists. And we have all the time been fighting against that, because as far as we are concerned, I feel that journalists should regulate themselves rather than being regulated by the government. Because the government being regulated, but it's not going to make the work of the journalists easy. So we've always fought against that. There have been attempts. There have been several attempts by the government to set up a press council, statutory body. Yeah, I can remember we have always received that. In fact, the last one was the National Media, which was repealed in 2004, just 2 days after the killing of Dayda Hydara. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you took over from Dayda Hydara then after he was killed, but not his term ending and you had to step in.
No, actually he voluntarily stepped down in 1998, and that is how I was elected as his successor. He was killed in 2004, but he actually stepped down in 1998 when I took over.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges you guys faced as a journalist when you were head of GPU?
A lot of challenges, particularly during the era of the AFPRC. It was very, very challenging because the government was very, very harsh as far as journalists were concerned. We were always in trouble with the authorities, doing everything. In fact, hardly a week passed by without one journalist or the other being arrested. I mean, I can remember when we were at the Daily Observer, for instance, on a daily basis, virtually, the immigration officers used to visit the place, particularly when we had these non-Gambian journalists who were there. You had a lot of Liberian journalists and Sierra Leonean journalists and others from other countries as well. And the police the immigration officers used to come there virtually on a daily basis, harassing those people, asking them for residential permits and other things. Because, as far as they are concerned, I think the intention was they wanted the Daily Observer, to close down, but they didn't know how to go about it. So they thought by harassing us, and then the proprietor, that is Ken West, who actually was deported from this country in 2005. Sorry, in 1995, just the following year after the military took over, they just deported him to Liberia, back to his country, Liberia. Hoping that he could deport her, then the paper will close down. But we the Gambian staff who are in charge of the Daily Observer, you feel that whatever happens, we are going to continue with the paper. But the harassment still continued throughout that period. We had a lot of from the security forces, from the immigration officers, virtually on a daily basis coming to the Observer, harassing the non-Gambian staff there particularly. Why we persisted and we still continued. So later, we cannot best a paper with Amadou Samba, and he came one day to tell us that he has bought the paper for trade base. We were all disappointed because he never told us anything. And suddenly we just saw Amadou Samba come with his people to tell us that he has bought the paper for trade base, and now he was the new one. That was it.
Wow. Buya Jammeh is watching on Facebook and said, Pa Usman, I am happy to see you interview D.A Jawo, who I always admire for his steadfastness in the press freedom during my journalism practice. He said, I always admire him for his steadfastness in the fight for press freedom in the Gambia. He is a force to be reckoned with. That's Buya Jammeh watching on Facebook. What did you do? How did you help in the fight for press freedom in the Gambia? Tell us, we were young. Tell us, what did you do? How did you help in the fight against press freedom?
It was a collective responsibility. We were doing as a collective. That is GPU. So we cannot just take credit. I cannot just take credit for it. We were doing it as collectively. So it was a collective responsibility. We were definitely, because we had some threat from the government, and there was a lot of threats for being fired on us. They wanted us to do things in their own way, but they didn't want us to go, do things, in the professional way that we wanted to do it. So, that was the reason why most of the time they were picking up journalists, harassing journalists, detaining journalists and all that. So the Gambia Press Union was at the center of it. And it was, it was our duty as heads of the, executive of the Gambia Press Union to ensure that our members were protected.
But what is the most critical? What is the most critical case? Or situation you've encountered while you were at GPU? Case you can, for example, the murder, the torture, the kidnapping, the disappearance of journalists. Arresting of journalists. Which was the most critical case?
Well, when Bimaneke, president of the GPU, definitely the most critical case was the murder of Dayda Hydara. Because then I was the president of the GPU, and you can imagine what we must have gone through. Because in fact, Binyore did a good Zambia. Then Manya that very next, early in the morning, a diplomat, a Western diplomat, Mama called, very early in the morning, human life. What do I know about Dayda? I don't know anything about Dayda. I was away. I came last night, so I don't know what has happened. Anyway, find out, and then I'll get back to you later. So don't like call a pop said, what's going on? That's how I knew it was quite a shocking news to me, because I never expected that we have reached that level where they would kill journalists in this country. So that was it. So I had to rush and go to the mortuary to find out what was going on. So that was definitely the most critical aspect as far as my being president of GP was concerned. Of course, other occasions like the disappearance of Chief Mane and, the harassment of journalists, which was constantly going, but definitely the killing of Dayda was the watershed as far as we were
What
concerned.
what did the GPU do? Because a lot of people think, okay, GPU didn't do anything about, all of these cases. What was GPU for? Until recently, a lot of people were actually thinking, especially diasporans would think, okay, in the case of Dayda Hydara or in the case of Chief Mane, well, even in other sectors, people will always critique the people in charge during Yahya Jammeh's time, thinking, okay, nothing was done about this. What did GPU and yourself do about these cases?
GPU did quite a lot in that area. Well, that is assuming that we could do much more than we did. Because when Dayda was assassinated, a few days later, we had to organize a march in Banjul and submitted petitions to the Ministry of Interior as well as to the Inspector General of Police. Actually, when we wanted to organize that march, the government refused to allow us to organize. So we had to negotiate with them, and they set conditions in the march. One of the conditions was that only journalists will be allowed to take part in the march. And it was a very tense moment. We had to go to the State House, have a meeting with the National Security Council, with chairmanship of the Vice President, and we had to agree on terms and other things so that we can go ahead. We had to agree to some of their conditions because in Dakar transition conditions, the Nikon march will go ahead, and we definitely were intent on going on that march to indicate, dismay over his killing as well as our concern about the security of journalists. So a lot of times. Then we agreed to some of their conditions that only the journalists will be allowed to march and not members of the public. Because, we had a lot of solidarity and support from the members of the general public as well. And, we marched from the arch right up to the police station and then to the Ministry of the Interior. Then the Ministry of the Interior was at Lehman Street there. So, it was a very successful march we had. In fact, despite all the conditions, we couldn't stop some members of the public joining us. It was a huge crowd that marched all the way there. But,
just marching alone, somebody is killed. Honorable, somebody is killed. A colleague, a Doyan journalist, somebody that helped. Marching was all that you could do?
We had banners and also, we had our banners and our T-shirts as well. And, but the most amazing thing was that on both sides of the road, that is Independence Drive, you had heavily armed soldiers with their guns cocked, accompanying us. So we were really amazed, go to that set. We wondered why they would even call the security forces to come and accompany us. We thought probably only the police would escort us. But you had these soldiers armed to the teeth and then accompanying us. But, we went all the way to the police station as well as to the Ministry of Interior and made petitions as well, letters of concern, as well as made some speeches before we would disperse. Yeah, and also, every year also we've been commemorating the event. In fact, the first anniversary, what we did was we called an international conference of journalists within the sub-region, and they came here. We had a very big commemorative event. And then at the end of the event, we decided to visit the site where Dayda was killed. That is at the Kanifik area, near the Sankong Silla factory there. But when we arrived there, we found out the paramilitary police were there with their heavy armory, and they refused to allow us to go in there. They would not allow us. They said they were giving orders not to allow us to go to the site. So that was it. So you see, everything that we wanted to do as far as Dayda's mother was concerned, the government was really not making it easy. That was the reason why we suspected the government had something to hide.
Okay.
As far as
you would be expected to do some investigations and the like. What are your findings until this minute? Of course, there are a lot of possible evidence that Dayda was killed. This story has been narrated by people who supposedly were involved in it. etc. And the government, until D.A Jawo left, never took responsibility for Dayda's death and would say, like then Dayda can mokore, ask Dayda who killed him. Dayda should tell people who killed him. What did you find out? Did you do any investigation besides the marching, the organizing of international conferences, bringing international journalists and all of that, and having big conferences? Did you actually investigate to find out the real cause of Dayda's death, and what was the outcome of your finding?
Well, I mean, GPU had our limitations financially and many other ways as well. We had our limitations. We didn't have the means to hire, private investigators to come and invest. We didn't have the money. But we, called on the to help to get private investigators like the FBI, like the MI6 in the UK and other things to come and help our local security forces investigator. But the government refused. They said, the security forces here have the means to investigate the case, so they are not going to get anybody to help us. But the thing is, there was no willingness on the part of the government to investigate the matter. But as I said, the GPU had our limitations. We would have loved to get to the bottom of the matter. But how do we do it? We don't have the means. We don't have the money. So
well, what would be your reaction to people? What would be your reaction to people who say, yeah, Jammeh was good at buying people and bought GPU and all these other entities in Gambia? Whenever there's a hand, he might have patronized you guys, gave you guys money, vehicles, and other amenities and incentives. Was there anything like that?
No, that's not true. And D.A Jammeh's government has never given a putut to the GPU in anywhere, never, in anywhere. So the GPU was we were doing our work, and we were never, allowing the government to interfere with our work. Of course, the government had, intention always to make sure that the GPU doesn't function as they would work. But we resisted. In fact, there was a time in this country when GPU was virtually the only active civil society body that was operating in this country. You had other bodies as well, like Gambia Bars and other civil society bodies and other things. But GP was definitely more active as far as challenging the movement was concerned. Yeah.
You mentioned the challenges that you faced. So was there any attempt to bribe or buy the GPU, and you guys refused?
You mean, sorry?
Was there any attempt to buy the GPU? Was there any attempt by the government to buy the GPU to patronize you guys? And you guys refused? Not that you are aware of.
Not that I'm aware of. Definitely. The government always saw the GPU as their strongest opponents. I definitely cannot. Of course, there have been attempts to set up rival, bodies, journalists in this country. I am aware of that the government wanted to encourage people to set up a rival. As you know, just like what happened to the student union. We had GAMSU here,
yes.
Gambia Students Union, which organized at April 10 and 11. Immediately after that, the government set up a rival student body, NAPSA. That is, which was to undermine the GAMSU. And eventually they succeeded in killing GAMSU. There was an attempt. We are aware that there was an attempt for the government to set up a Gambia Journalists Association, encouraging journalists of the GRTS and other public media to come together, and maybe other journalists, private journalists as well. But, no matter what they attempted to do, it never succeeded. So the GPU was definitely not threatened in any way by those trying to set up rival bodies. It never happened. It never succeeded. Yeah.
The arson attack of Independent, where you were working for Independent at some point, right?
Yes, I was at some point, but by the time the attack was taking place, I was not in the Independent. Actually, there were two attempts. The first one was they had to they burned part of the place, and then the second time was they burned the printing press, the printing machine itself. So those are the two attempts at the Independent. And there was also an arson attack at the home of one of the journalists working for Radio 1 FM, as well as an arson attack on Radio 1 FM itself, when the late George Christensen was, even had to sustain some funds.
That's interesting. Okay, a lot of people say DA was on exile, the Faragal. Yeah, Jammeh was there. All of these things were happening. Dayda Hydara was killed, the disappearances of the chief managers, those arson attacks, and all these things that were happening in the Gambia. And all of a sudden, DA Jawo was nowhere to be seen. Went on self-exile. Were you on self-exile? And where did you go to? And why did you go on self-exile, if that is the case?
No, I was definitely not in exile. I mean, I was the course director of the Media Training Center until 2006, when I was approached by Swaibu Konate, the late Swaibu Konate. He had a friend in Senegal who was on the process of setting up a Pan-African news agency, and he wanted somebody to head the English desk of the Pan-African news agency. And Swaibu recommended me to that person. So they wrote to me, asking me, to send them my CV, and I did. And they wrote to me back to offer me the position. So that is how I went to Dakar. I never went into it. In fact, every few months I used to visit Gambia because I had my family back here. My children were going to school. My wife was a teacher, so there was no way they could bring me there. And from time to time I used to come here. I mean, all the period I was
Ragalulo on Mr. Jawo, you were not scared. It wasn't the threat that you were scared of, even though you had that offer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no place like home. I would love to come back to the Gambia right now and be working. And the fact that you were away and the fact that you were away, your family is in Gambia, being separated from your family is not this thing. Are you sure you were not scared of your life?
No, I wasn't. Actually, even while I was in Dakar, I used to continue to write critical articles of the government. And up to the very moment that the D.A Jawo left this country, I was frequently writing and posting critical articles of the government. So then every time I wanted to come to the Gambia from Senegal, my wife and my family and friends used to be very, very edgy about it, and they used to advise me not to come because it wasn't safe. But I said, no, as far as I'm concerned, I see no reason why D.A Jawo, anybody else, prevent me from coming to the Gambia.
You didn't go through the back way, them jare Tamba Kunda Base, you didn't do Yufi Polio, you jare Sisuf, huh?
No, jare my friend, feel around the Amdalaya, and then through the ferry, and then come from Banjul and come to my home in Kanifing. One Anjar friend.
Oh, okay.
I was, and while I was here as well, the time I spent here, I used to go to GPU and other places as well, I wasn't scared because I have not done anything wrong. Criticizing the government was part of my role as a journalist, so that was it. Yeah.
Well, KM20, you were in Dakar and working there as head of the new English department. So how did that go? Was that the position you held until you left in 2016, or you rose through the ranks, or had held other positions?
No, that was the highest I could have gone in that place there. That is head of the English desk of the Pan-African News Agency. That was it. That was what I was until I left the place.
Okay, came 2016. Gambians voted for the democracy, and President Adama Barrow was ushered in to serve as the head of the Third Republic. You were appointed as Minister of Information. How did that appointment came about?
Go ahead. While I was in Dakar, I was really active in Gambian political affairs as well, because we used to organize demonstrations in Dakar every time something happens in the Gambia, like D.A Jawo executed those prisoners and other occasions, or every July 22nd occasion, we would also organize a rival, demonstration in Dakar, mobilizing civil society in Senegalese capital there, so that denounce what is going on in the Gambia. So I was part of that, even though maybe I was not the organizer. The organizers, we had people like Fatou Jan, for instance. She was very, very active. The executive director of Article 19. She was the main organizer of those events. But I used to attend virtually all those events as well. And I was also continuing Ramadan Binda, the criticize things that are happening in this country as well. So, I mean, it's not that I was just there and then virtually disappearing from the scene. I made sure that I was all the time visible. And we also had when the coalition 2016 was formed, we also had this group of Gambian activists who we created a chat group where we were chatting and also contributing money and helping the coalition. We contributed a huge amount of money, personal level, and then put it together. And there was even a time when we had to invite a delegation from the coalition 2016, led by Fatmata Jallo Tambajang, to come to Dakar so that we can help them to have interviews with the Senegalese television and see some Senegalese officials. So, we were doing something actually on the ground to help the situation. Well, so, I think it was that group who urged me to submit my CV to the coalition for possible appointment as Minister of Information. Initially, why can't we get somebody from the group itself? Why they insisted. So that was how I submitted my CV, and eventually I was appointed.
Yéen a ngi déglu di seetaan face à face from the Gambian Talents TV. Pa Ousmane Diouf behind the microphone, and our guest is Dayda Jawo, the former Minister of Information until 2018, this past June when he was relieved from his duties. For those of you watching, please don't forget to share this video whether you are watching on Facebook or you are watching on YouTube or listening to us through WhatsApp or Snapchat or Instagram. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our Facebook, our YouTube channel, or like our Facebook page if you're just joining us. Yes, it is very important for you guys to also donate. We will appreciate your donation. We are a non-commercial public broadcasting network, and we rely on your support. Your financial contribution will be very important. $5 every month. If you look on the right side and below, next to the comment section, you will see a green circle with a heart in it. If you click on that, it will take you to a secured site. Of course, this is a partnership between Gambian Talents and Facebook. They realized the good job that we are doing and thought that we should be helped so that we will be able to produce and bring you quality, fact-based content and journalism. That is why we are setting this thing up. It's very important. We need a lot of resources. D.A is in our studio right now. We are using a lot of credit to be able to get you this image of D.A. We are using a lot of lights, the internet, everything else that you are seeing there, the cameras and everything else are very expensive. And of course, we don't want to rely on corporate sponsorship, or neither do we want to rely on government. We want you, who we are serving as your eyes, your ears, and your mouth, to support us. So please click on that. If you are unable to, or you're not comfortable supporting us through that, you normally send, those of you that are in the diaspora, you normally send your allowance to the Gambia. When you do so, please don't forget to include a little bit of something in there for us. I mean, $100 is $200, $500, $1,000 is. We have 45 young people we are training this minute, and of course, you will be helping to actually put food on those people's tables, help them with transportation allowance and other logistical needs. Tomorrow or tonight, we'll be bringing you the church activities for the Christmas. Tomorrow, we'll bring you the huntings, the egeres, and all the ambience happening in the greater Banjul area. And on New Year's, they will be doing the same thing, as well as all other programs that are happening. D.A, you are in our studios, right? And you see how it is. I mean, what we are doing. Maybe you can help tell the people, because some of them may not know what we are doing. How is it over there? Mr. Jawo?
Hello, yes, I'm getting you.
Yes, I said you are in our studios currently, and you see some of the work that we are doing. You met some of the interns and some of the work we are doing. What can you tell us about what you have seen?
Yeah, I'm very much impressed, definitely, with what I've seen, because I used to watch you online, but you are just from a little corner place. But suddenly when I came here and I saw these big studios, and also I found somebody in a class in session here as well, a lot of other facilities as well. I'm really impressed, and I think you deserve commendation as well as assistance to be able to, because it's a very ambitious program that you have embarked on. Very much so.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Some people say DA did not deserve the position of minister, especially foreign, especially information. That you struggle a lot with talking. Earlier when you were sharing your story, you talked about how you dropped out as a teacher and everything, and you being information minister, which would require you to be doing a lot of talking on behalf of the government, I suppose, and you being that quiet person or not very vocal person, a lot of people thought that wasn't definitely a position for you. What is your reaction to people who think that DA definitely was not meant to be or wasn't supposed to be the Minister of Information?
Yeah, well, that's a personal opinion of, people. Of course, people have right to their opinions about any particular issue. But as information minister, I think it definitely much more than just the talking. The talking is just one little aspect of it. Particularly in the latter part when the government appointed a spokesperson. So the minister is definitely left with other administrative functions apart from just talking. Yeah. But even when I was the spokesperson of the government, I used to organize a monthly press briefings, and and also used to answer questions from journalists. But as you say, maybe talking was an important aspect of the Ministry of Information, but it was definitely just one little area of it, and there are much more important other important functions of the minister rather than just talking.
Well, you were supposed to be the face and mouth of the government, DA, and a lot of people say even what led to your sacking or being relieved is the interview you gave to the BBC after your government clock won, in which you were asked about the achievements of the government, and you talked about democracy only, the freedom of press or freedom of speech in the country. A lot of people said you couldn't identify anything else as achievement for the government but that. Some people say that is the reason for your sacking. What's your reaction?
Well, up to this very day, I honestly don't know why. The reason for my sacking. It's only the president who knows why he sacked me, because he has the prerogative to appoint anybody and anybody, and that's it. But probably yes, it is possible. There are other areas that I should have mentioned during that interview which I didn't mention. But those areas I mentioned as well. You cannot deny that they were all part of the, at least, the clauses of this government as well.
Yeah, but people, a lot of the people who criticized that interview, and even government officials or individuals, especially on social media, people were thinking, what was DA thinking? Freedom of speech. This is what Gambians fought for to a great extent. That's why they voted Yaya Jammeh out. So that is the doing of the Gambians. That's what they wanted, and that credit should not go to the government. And until this minute, when it is mentioned, a lot of people jump onto it and defend it greatly to remind the whoever said it that is not an achievement of the government. That is an achievement of the Gambian people. Do you still stand by that statement? You think that is an achievement of the government?
Yes, I agree. That definitely is the people that work for it and fought for it. But the government has to create the atmosphere as well. There is nothing stopping any government. Pouncing on that aspect of the freedom of the people, and then it has happened in the past, and it can happen in the future as well. So you don't have to. Maybe the credit goes to the people as well, but you just can't take the government out of credit as well, because the very fact that the government has allowed that freedom to go ahead, despite the fact that it's the people that fought for it. But the governments are always in a position to curtail such freedoms if they so wish. And
well, if they do it, they'll be betraying. If they do it, they'll be betraying trust. So they don't this Lilen war reclaim def. They didn't do favor to the people. They did what they were supposed to do, because curtailing people's rights is not right.
I agree. It is. The governments are elected actually to work for the people, and freedom, giving allowing the people the freedom of speech and the freedom of movement and other things it's part of the role of the government as well. I mean, yeah, there shouldn't be, we should not pressing them for doing that, because that is what they are supposed to be doing as well.
Well, that is
but,
all that.
Let's say, that also,
Go ahead.
sorry?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is, okay, I mean, the credit goes to the people, definitely. People fought for it, and they got it for themselves as well. But the very fact that the government has also allowed it to continue, I mean, to a certain extent, some credit goes to the government as well.
A lot of people critique you about that. It was the audio was circulating on WhatsApp with some unfortunate titled about how mature you are when it comes to you knowing the job. It was also on social media. People put it out on Facebook and everywhere, and you were a critic for it. How did you feel? You must have heard that, right? You must have heard the criticisms, right? You heard it?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, I had it. And, you know, of course, I took it in good faith, because, I mean, just linguare, or something like that. You know, I mean, when you are in a position of responsibility, definitely you should be prepared to accept all kinds of criticism. So I took them in very good faith as well. I knew the people had good intentions of criticizing me, because they felt that what I did was not the right thing, I mean, to do at that stage. So that was it. I accepted it. And as far as I'm concerned, it was kind of a, you know, it was an advice of some sort, you know.
How did the president and the cabinet see that? I mean, were you engaged about that particular interview?
No. I mean, nobody actually ever mentioned it to me, either by the president or any member of the cabinet or anywhere. Nobody in government ever took up that matter with me.
Okay. When you were minister, DA, you guys didn't meet often, did you, as cabinet? You guys didn't have a lot of cabinet meetings, did you?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
When you were minister, you guys didn't have a lot of cabinet meetings. Did you have a lot of cabinet meetings when you were minister?
Yes, not maybe not as frequently as it should have happened, but we used to have cabinet meetings, definitely. There was a time, in fact, it was that it should be on a weekly basis, but sometimes 2, 3, or even 1 month without a cabinet meeting. You know? That was it. That was.
And you think that was that okay? You guys are running ministries. Each of you have so much going on in your ministries, and you should have been consulting. So many things happening in the country. Of course, during that first 1 year, it was very chaotic. Anywhere from the security demonstration here and there, people demanding their rights. I mean, different ministries were having different concerns and things that needed to be taken care of, that needed to be addressed. And you guys could sit for that long without having meetings. What were you guys engaged in?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was definitely not the ideal situation. I mean, the ideal situation was to have very regular cabinet meetings. But again, this was a new dispensation. There's new government. Everybody was new in their positions. And, you know, it definitely take a while before everything was stabilized. That was definitely was responsible for the situation as it was. But it was not the ideal situation. The ideal situation should have been very regular cabinet meetings, at least on a weekly basis, would have been the best. But I mean, it had to take time. You know,
some people say you were busy. You guys were busy traveling, and the president was busy trying to consolidate power, and you guys were busy enjoying your per diems and all of these things. You were hungry for money. Nobody dangin he fondal. Yakamti wana the opportunity rek, and you were enriching yourself. I mean, through your travels and per diems and stuff. How much money did DA made from the per diems from when you became minister until the time you left? You must have been a millionaire, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I can assure you, I mean, things were not as costly as you would think it were. I mean, sometimes when I travel, and even the per diem you are paid, you cannot be able to, you hardly be able to meet your cost of your hotel and other things as well with the per diem that you. I mean, the cost of living in the places that you go to is so high. Hotels are so expensive, you know. I mean, it was not as costly as people thought it was. Yeah.
Well, this talk about Padiem, especially when the minister revealed that over 230 million was spent on Padiems and stuff. Dafa jox ñu bari heart attacks in the kabi. 200 and something million be spent on Padiem when Gambians are suffering in the hospitals and stuff. So, I mean, if you are saying that the money was in that lee, and President Barrow himself said, oh, that wasn't a lot of money, Limneka Gambia, right? According to him, Gambians in Yohamut Halis basically, but that wasn't a lot of money. But people have criticized the government on this Padiem issue, though, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it was not easy to justify some of those things that were happening. I think personally, also, I thought the traveling of the ministers was just too frequent. You know, in fact, there are occasions, I was supposed to be traveling on it, and I declined traveling on those because I thought it was not justified to be traveling most of these trips. Like, for instance, some of the trips could have been undertaken by the technical people within the department rather than the way. That was my, that was my view as well. So I thought probably the traveling could have been definitely reduced. It was not, necessary to take all those, to undertake all that traveling. But again, as I say, it was a new government, and Gambia previously was kind of a pariah state during the D.A Jawo era, and it was the duty of the new government to actually connect the Gambia with the rest of the international community.
Well, people are saying some people will critique you for saying that now when you were there you didn't say that Yenang don't enjoy PADME. So what is your reaction to those people? And can you give us an example of a situation where you were supposed to travel and you declined it, or you wanted somebody else to go?
Yes, I can give you several occasions when I was supposed to travel. In fact, at one time I was supposed to go to Egypt, and up to the very last minute I had to cancel that. In fact, when my services were being terminated, I was supposed to have been in China, but I assigned my special advisor, Dayda Hydara, to go instead of me. I mean, she was the one who went to China and not me, because I decided not to go. And there were other occasions as well when I was supposed to go, but I say it wasn't necessary. I either would assign the permanent secretary and the other technical staff to go, or or nobody would go, because I thought probably some of those trips could have been better handled by technical staff rather than the minister.
Oh, okay, so that was your reason, right? Because you thought that, okay, the technical staff were in a better position, it will create a lot more impact than the minister go.
Yes, for some of the trips, that was my view. I thought probably technical staff could better handle it, because these are sometimes it's technical language they are talking there, and the minister has very little to do with that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But then, did you guys discuss these things at cabinet level? Who determines who travels? And is there any difference? Let's say if the minister goes and the permanent secretary or your special advisor goes, is there any difference as to who goes? Is there any difference?
No, each occasion has to be determined according to what the situation calls for. Sometimes the invitation would come to the ministry that you are invited to a particular function somewhere in the world, and then you sit with your technical people and then determine who should actually make better impact as far as that particular invitation is concerned. It could be the minister could go, maybe at ministerial level, or sometimes the permanent secretary or any other technical staff could go to that particular event as well, depending on the type of event.
A lot of people say your government came, the government, not anymore, but when you were there, there was a lot of lavishing, Yakamti, assigning of utility vehicles here, of course the travels, spending a lot of money on unnecessary things. When Gambians are dying and our hospitals don't have the necessary things they need. I just told you 2 weeks ago, students are still sitting on mats going to school in Gambia. Road network, NAWEC of course is much better now, but there are a lot of issues that need to be taken care of. But Yenangi don't live in utility vehicles and all kind of stuff. Did you have one? Did you have a utility vehicle as minister?
Supplied with a 2 weeks. I had one.
You were supplied.
Yeah, again.
Go ahead.
I agree that a lot of. Sorry.
Yes, go ahead. I wasn't hearing you. I didn't hear your response.
What I'm saying is, yes. No, what I'm saying is, I mean, it's not. Of course, there are a lot of things to take care. But in hospital there are problems in the educational sector and problems in everywhere else. But the ministries also have to function as well. I mean, the minister, as the head of the ministry, definitely has to travel from time to time. It doesn't necessarily, the minister doesn't have to go anywhere. The hospital doesn't have drugs or whatever. You know, I mean, it's a question of allocations, allocating these things for that particular area and all those things. I mean, that's the way a government functions.
Fatou Samba said D.A Jawo was the only minister that will not use government car after work or weekends. He uses his personal car and was very down to earth. He was a very down to earth minister. So you didn't use government vehicle to do your personal, things on the weekend?
No, I wouldn't go that far to say that, because I was allocated with a utility car. And, well, I used to use that utility car after work as well. So, yeah, that was the reason it was allocated to me, so that I can take care of other businesses after work. But what I used to do was, unlike maybe some other ministers, was that immediately I close from work, my car is definitely, it's not with me. I would never use it. I mean, when I'm going to functions, sometimes for the official functions, in weekends or after work as well, I used to drive my car rather than, calling the driver or calling the orderly to accompany me. I made sure that I did things on my own after working hours. Yeah.
What was your ministry's biggest achievement while you were there? What is your biggest achievement, and what are some of your achievements as Minister of Information? People argue and criticize the government, like the Ministry of Health. We have millions of dollars is given to them. The budget just got approved, and every other ministry, so much money being pumped into them. And people are just criticizing, not seeing the difference. In the lives of the average Gambians, when those millions are pumped into these ministries every year. Like I said, health ministry, so much happening in our hospitals. We are hearing news of people using mobile phone lights in order to help women deliver their babies. RVTH barely has blood bags, and people have to buy the things they need. I just have somebody that sent us a message a couple of days ago. The person lives in Farafenye. Even to buy materials to dress his leg is a problem, and he's asking for help because he's paralyzed. So the education ministry, I just told you, Farafenye to CRR to other places, students are sitting on mats. The Ministry of Information, of course, when it comes to access to information, the ministry, journalism, and all of the things that are happening under your ministry, people feel that the average Gambian's life is not changed or has not changed, and all these millions are given to these ministries. For your part, in your case, what is your ministry's biggest achievement, or what are some of your achievements that actually change the lives of the people you were there for?
Achievements are sometimes not that easy to measure, because it's a process. It's a long process, and like you're talking about issue of health or issue of education. I'm sure things are happening, but the thing is, it's not quite easy to just see the impact right there and then. I'm sure a lot of things are being done, and it will take a while before people will set their eyes on them. It's in the same situation with the Ministry of Information as well. As you know, the ministry has two components: that the information part of it and the telecommunication part of it. And we had a lot of plans, and we were working on those plans as well. And it's continuity. The Minister of Information is continuing what I started. There. Sometimes, as I say, it will not be easy, but you just see, and then it's a process which will take a while, because it's very labor intensive, it's very capital intensive, particularly in the area of the telecommunication sector. You know, I'm sure you've been seeing people digging all over the place, you know, laying some cables and other things, because it's part of the, you know, the broadband network. That is they were doing. It's all part of the process that the ministry was doing. But it will take a while before the impact will be seen by the public. It is not that it doesn't take that. It takes a long time before the impact actually is seen by people. But something is definitely happening.
Okay, tell us, what are your achievements? You were there for 1 year, 6 months. What did you accomplish? What would you call your baby or your accomplishment? Like, okay, this thing happened while I was minister. I've interviewed other people before. Just give you an example. You interview, say, Omar Faye. He said, okay, the Gambian embassy in Washington, D.C. was bought during my time. I mean, we bought that. I mean, ministers will tell you, okay, well, we influenced this bill during our time, or we passed this law, or we were able to open the state television or issued license. What were some of the things that you will call an achievement that happened under your belt?
Well, I mean, the fact that right now we have issued 4 television licenses, private television licenses, and several, I mean, private radio licenses. I mean, I don't know whether you can call that achievement, but it has happened. In fact, some of the television stations, you can watch them either online or on, you know, I mean, on terrestrial. I mean, so at least things are happening. But can I say
that is definitely an achievement. Issuing 4 television license when the Gambia for over 50 something years since we have television. During your time, you issue 4 television license and other radios. That's an achievement. So tell us some of the things you said. Mr. Jawo, you don't have confidence in saying so. You say, I don't know if you will call that achievement. Tell us.
Anybody who was there could have signed us. Necessarily mean the house license. I mean, this has these people, work and then made the recommendations to me as the minister. When it came to my time, I had to give it approval. And so anybody, minister would have done the same thing, you know, in that situation. So I cannot call it as my achievement.
Yeah, that is true that anybody could have done it, but it happened during your time. So tell us some of the things, because anybody could have approved them through, but anybody could have also rejected them. Kuneka munonako reject as well. Anybody could have approved them. Anybody who was minister could have approved them, but they could have also refused. It's not like people haven't put in let's say applications for license during Yajam's time, TV license, but they were refused. So in your time, you use your discretion to do it. So that could be an achievement. It is
because the
ngeen balal ñu rek ñu ngi xawa am a little bit of connection problem balal ma Mr. Jawo.
It's a process, and
nga balal ma rek yëf yi daf doon dog xaral ñu teg line bi ñu colaat so that we finish the conversation. Yéen a ngi déglu di seetaan face à face here on the Gambian Talents TV. D.A Jawo is our guest, former information Minister of Information is our guest, and yes, he is right there at our studios in the Gambia. Yes, you were saying something that is very important, Mr. Jawo, and we got disconnected. You were saying something that is very important. We got disconnected. You said yes. What do you call your achievements? I mean, issuing of 4 TV license. What else?
What I'm saying, apart from the 4 TV licenses that I signed, I also approved several other licenses for private radio stations. I cannot remember how many they are. You know, I mean, and a lot of other things have taken. As I say, it's a process which has been continuing, and I know, and there are other projects as well we have been doing, and you know, they have gone a long way, and the new minister is definitely going to continue it, and very soon. Probably one of those things is this digital migration. You know, there is this plan that the media, particularly television, is going to migrate from analog system of broadcasting to digital. That process has also been going on. Unfortunately, intention was it should have been ready by 2017, but there was a delay in the process. But it's still going on, and I'm sure because there is a deadline. ITU, that's International Telecommunication Union, has given a deadline of 2020 for the whole world to migrate digital. And it is very likely that Gambia would be able to meet that deadline. But there were some delays somehow. But the process was well advanced. And there are other projects as well, like the broadband as well. They were digging all over the place. Gamtel was laying the cables with the project was given to a Chinese company, that's Huawei, and they were doing it. And a lot of other projects as well were going in all the sectors of the ministry as well.
Some said the government hasn't achieved much because it was most of the cabinet ministers were people who actually have political ambition to be the president. So they would have not done a lot of things. One of the things, of course, meetings that you guys didn't have at cabinet members, or certain things that would have happened at cabinet level were kind of sabotaged, because if those achievements are to come, you will the credit will go to President Barrow. People are critiquing the government a lot on that. Everywhere those things do happen. You see America, when the Democrats and the Republicans, whoever is in power, the other party will do everything possible to kind of delay or sabotage certain achievements if they know that it is going to be in the credit of or to the credit of the other party. So the government wasn't much functional or functioning because of Lolo, the O.J. Jallos, the Hamad Bass, the Lawyer Dabos, the Henrys. Yen ñi fa nekkoon as ministers ñu bari, besides yow ak few people, majority of you guys were politicians or people who have political ambition. Did that really affect the cabinet? Do you think the cabinet being comprised of a lot of politically ambitious people actually affected the functioning of the government?
I honestly, I don't think anybody would willingly sabotage the government for one reason or the other, because the success of the government is the success of every minister, everybody working within the government. So the rationale behind anybody sabotaging the government so that it doesn't succeed. Then personally, you are going to fail then if the government fails. Government is a collective responsibility, and it's the responsibility of all those in government to ensure of its success. I cannot imagine anybody sabotaging the success of the government for one reason or the other, particularly for political ends. Then you as a member of the government, then you fail if the government fails.
But we are seeing lately what is happening between President Barrow and Lawyer Dabo. Of course, how they are throwing shade at each other and throwing words at each other, which is very apparent. President Barrow has said it, that if anybody criticizes the Barrow Youth Movement or their activities, they are not doing anything here that is illegal, or against the law. Whoever is in his government and you are doing such things, you better pack your things before he comes for you. And we have had Lawyer Dabo outrightly also mentioned that the UDP does not endorse any other youth movement or youth wing besides the UDP youth wing, and has also threatened some National Assembly members and members of his party who supposedly, even though he didn't mention their names, but from what we are seeing, is talking about the people that supposedly were given money by the president or some National Assembly members or members of his party that are actually out there and supposedly taking sides with President Barrow. So we are seeing that. Is that not sabotage?
I wouldn't call it sabotage. Okay, they are playing politics, of course. You can understand they are kind of repositioning themselves for the end of the transition when they were supposed to maybe go back to the people for him. These are all political games. But as far as I'm concerned, it would not directly affect their work in the government. When their work in the government is a completely different kettle of fish altogether. Probably they can play their politics out of the office. But when they are in the offices, I'm sure they are going to cooperate and work as a government. And, that's what I see. But I don't see it as sabotage.
So your Fogolone guy didn't Lawyer Dabo as vice president. So you say anything that could be a potential achievement that could be used as political capital by President Barrow because of his ambition and because of the way things are, don't like that opportunity. You don't think so?
No, man, Fogomane Lawyer Dabo or anybody else would use their positions to sabotage the work of the government just because they want to score some political points. I mean, that is definitely in their interest or in the interest of the government or the interest of the, I mean, honestly, Mandal, as far as I'm concerned, no. I mean, playing politics is one thing, but doing the work as a minister or a vice president or whatever is another thing altogether. I don't think they are going to mix the two. I mean, I would rather resign as a vice president or a minister or whatever than be involved something. I mean, that is going to kind of sabotage the work of the government. I don't think that makes a lot of sense.
So, what's your take on the issue? What would you advise President Barrow on Lawyer Dabo or Lawyer Dabo?
Well, I think we're in a transitional government. I think they should kind of respect the transitional aspect of the government and reduce their political gimmickry as it is right now, because it is not helping anybody whatsoever. All this talk about politics and other things, I mean, it's not in anybody's interest. I mean, they should cooperate and make sure they work, make sure the transitional government succeeds, so that at the end of the day, then whoever wants to go back to the people to be re-elected can do so. I mean, as far as President Barrow is concerned, I mean, if I were to advise him, I would definitely advise him to stick to the transition. And I mean, because the transition agreement was that he should serve for 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, then he should organize elections and hand over. Probably somebody would say, I mean, Lawyer Dabo, for instance, has said that the Constitution says 5 years. Okay, I mean, it's well and good. We can still he can still go on for 5 years. But at the end of the 5 years, if I were to advise him, I would advise him not to go for the election. Because, I mean, then he will be against it. I mean, the agreement that he signed with his colleagues, which is unfortunate. Because we all can remember, the interviews he gave, before. At that time, he promised that he was going to abide by the transition and that he was not going to be offering himself for the election. And he should respect that.
So what will be your reaction to people who think that you have, you are just making these comments now because you are no longer there? So Fanekon, si office when you just la moto you toy and you're giving house, you are traveling and enjoying the podiums and hard authority, you will definitely want President Barrow to even seek for re-election for a second term, to go for a second term. What would be your reaction to people who would think that is because you are sacked or removed from your duties, that is why you are making these comments asking President Barrow to actually respect the 3-year term?
I can assure anybody who thinks that way that when I was in government, this is I was saying it that categorically. President Barrow should respect the transitional agreement. I mean, it's an agreement. Is an agreement. Probably, I mean, we can give concessions for the 3 years. Probably we can say that because the Constitution says 5 years. I mean, it's well and good. We can give that concession. When after the 5 years, if I were him, definitely I would seek re-election, because then he would be violating the very agreement that he has signed with his coalition partners. I was not a member of the coalition, not absolutely not. Yeah.
Did that ever come up in a discussion at cabinet level or personally? I mean, about these 3 years, 5 years, when you were working with the president?
No, not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, that issue was never, even though I'm not privy to discuss issues that were discussed in cabinet. That is not part of. But as far as I'm aware, it was never discussed anywhere about them, because that is a coalition thing, and it has nothing to do, not much to do with the government. I mean, I was part of the government, not part of the coalition. The coalition was a political thing altogether. It has nothing to do with my role as a minister.
Have you been in touch with President Barrow since you were removed from office. In fact, before then, how did you get to know about this issue of your sacking? Because we've heard you had interviews when the government appointed a spokesperson. Ami Bojang also had some interviews, and there were some conflicting information happening between your ministry and what was coming out of the State House. How was that like? Because there were some times during your time as minister that conflicting information will come out from the government. What was responsible for that? This didn't only have to do with this. Didn't only. Go ahead.
Yeah, in this particular instance about the appointment of the spokesperson, what actually happened was that then I was in the UK, and the permanent secretary called me there to tell me that Ibrahim Sankare has been to the office with a copy of a letter appointing him as spokesperson of the government, and that he was supposed to be posted to the ministry. I said, it's well and good. That was how I knew that Ibrahim Sankare had been appointed as the spokesperson. But when I came back from the UK, there was this announcement on GRTS announcing his appointment as, and then Bojang was asked during a press briefing she held about the appointment, and she denied that it happened. She said, as far as she was concerned, it didn't happen. It was just a fake. That letter announcing, or that press release announcing his appointment was a fake. The journalist, obviously, as the spokesperson of the government then, until Ibrahim Sankare took over, they had to come to me for clarification. And as far as I was concerned, I have already seen a copy of his appointment letter. So you didn't expect me to say it was not true. As far as I was concerned, it was a letter signed by the permanent secretary of the PMO, that is the Personnel Management Office, who are responsible for the appointment of civil servants. And I saw that letter. It was very authentic. So as far as I was concerned, the appointment was true. That was how there was this contradiction with Bojang. I think what she failed to do was to consult with me, because whatever happened, then I was the government spokesperson. The journalists were definitely coming to me. So before she made her statement, I think it was proper that she consulted with me so that we can have at least one speaking in one voice rather than speaking in different voices, which was definitely not good for the credibility of the government. But under the circumstances, there was no way I can deny the appointment because I have already got a copy of the letter.
But a lot of that was happening, though, during your time or in the early days of the government. One would say, yes, now it's quite a bit better. But a lot of contradiction was happening through different ministries. From Justice Department to Interior. Even yourself and Finance Ministry, there was something like that. We also saw a letter that came between yourself and Amadou Sane. Is that right? Or the Ministry of Finance? How about that contradiction? What happened?
No, I wouldn't call that a contradiction. What actually happened was, there was a situation when I had to write, a complaint, a letter of complaint to the Secretary General. Whatever happened, unfortunately, it was leaked on social media. But that was not a contradiction. It was something that I was complaining about, and the right person was complaining in this particular case was the Secretary General. I wrote to the Secretary General, and somehow and the letter leaked in social media. But you cannot call that contradiction, was it?
Well, what happened? We only saw one part of it. It's important that you tell us. When these things happen, they are usually backed by a narrative, and the narrative we see is probably what the public is going to believe. What happened? And you have a responsibility. You guys have to tell the public, okay, this is what happened. I would respect if you have.
I think what was on social media was my side of the story, and that is what I have to say. The letter was one I wrote that was leaked on social media. That was my side of the story. So I cannot tell other side of the story because that is not my side. My side was the one that was leaked.
Like I saw it. This is not for me. The fact that I brought it up is because I saw it. For the purpose of our listeners. Lan mooy woon sa side of the story. Pour ñi ñoo déglu di seetaan ñoo xam ne they didn't see that.
No, maybe it's not proper because that was supposed to be a confidential letter. I don't know who leaked it on social media, but it was supposed to be a confidential letter between me and the Secretary General complaining about a particular issue. So it is not proper at this stage, to definitely to come out and then explain in detail what it was all about, because it would definitely not be proper. I don't want to go to that.
Well, from what we saw, the letter has to do with you complaining that the Ministry of Finance was taking certain steps that your ministry should have. Basically, digital fakastalla, they were working on certain things that should have been done by your ministry, and that wasn't done the right way. Proper channels and procedures were not followed, basically. But what would be your reaction to people who say that you intentionally leaked that letter, and probably you're just sitting here now saying, well, it is a confidential letter that was sent to the Secretary General, but you are the one that actually leaked it just because you wanted to sabotage? What would be your reaction?
Well, that's definitely not true. I never leaked that letter. I don't know who leaked it. Well, I was given an idea as to where it was, because it was copied to other institutions as well. I was given an idea as to which institution it was leaked from, but I wouldn't, say it on air. Definitely not. But definitely not from my ministry. I can assure you that.
Not from you and not from your ministry?
It's absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Oh,
because, somebody told me. Well, in fact, I saw it myself, that the letter had a stamp, a particular institution, which was also copied of. But I'm definitely not going to mention that institution there.
And what was the outcome of the letter when you submitted it? Was there any improvement?
Again, I would still
reserve your comment.
I would be reluctant to it. Because, as I say, everything was confidential, and it would be, a breach of trust on my part if I were to come on air and start talking about something that was supposed to be confidential.
We will respect that for you. Finally, your assessment of the government. You were there. You left almost 6 months now. You guys were relieved from your duties. You and Fatmata Tambajang, OJ, and others. Some people said President Barrow dafa target on polymom. Gene D.A Jawo, gene OJ Jallow, gene Fatmata Jallow. Ne poli la don target, even though his connection to the Fuller to Fullers is undoubtedly unquestionable, but ñu ne waaw yeen poli la gëna target. Of course Ahmad Ba rek la fa baye te Ahmad Ba daf ko dogo, but poli am principles yi. DA is a principal guy, OJ is a principal guy, Fatmata Jallow is a principal guy. What can you tell us? What's your reaction to people who are taking this on a tribal line?
I think that's unfair on President Barrow's side, for people to accuse him of playing tribalism or ethnic thing or whatever. I think it's unfair. As I said, the Constitution gives him the power to appoint anybody minister, to sack anybody he want to work with. I think the ethnic factor doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. It could have been anybody. In fact, there are people, who are among those who are relieved. They were not Fullers, like Henry Gomez, for example, or Safi Law. So I think it's unfair. He had his own reasons, although I don't know what the reasons were.
But did you expect it though? Did you see it coming? Did you see it coming? Did you expect it?
Yeah, honestly, in my case, it didn't come to me from the blue. I definitely assure you that, because the signs and symptoms were there. I knew that one fine day, somebody would want me out of the cabinet, and it didn't definitely come to me as from the blue. Yeah.
Oh, so you were, you knew that it was coming. Why? Were you doing something? Were you doing something? Were you being defiant in cabinet? Were you disagreeing with them? Were you not pushing his agendas? Were you not politically supportive? We want to smell the rat here and the coffee. What was? Why did you smell the rat? Why did you say you saw it coming?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, it was a new dispensation. We were all kind of groping in the dark, and things were not that well. We were doing things virtually on a day-to-day basis, and I mean, sometimes it will take that kind of a situation before things would stabilize. Probably President Barrow may think that these people, maybe their comportment or whatever, are not the type of people I would like to continue to work with. Yeah, probably. I mean, he didn't give any reason as to why. He has not given me any reason whatsoever. But so we can only speculate the reasons why he decided to terminate.
Yeah, but you said you saw it. You say you were not surprised, that you were relieved. If I understand you, you saw it coming. I asked you, did you see? And you said yes. The signs were there. You said
really seeing it. Not really seeing it coming, but definitely it didn't come from me from the blue, because I was expecting it at any moment. The fact that things were not as costly, I mean, as people would see it from the outside. There were too many things not happening the way probably I would have loved them to be happening, and probably I was complaining too much about some of the things that were taking place in my ministry without, my consultations with me. I mean, a good example I've given you is the appointment of the spokesperson. The spokesperson was appointed to take one of the portfolios I was holding, and nobody ever informed me that somebody is going to be appointed to take. It is only after he was appointed that he brought the letter to the office to indicate that he has been appointed. Those are the issues that I'm not quite comfortable with. And, being the type of person I was complaining too much about a lot of things. And probably somebody else thought that, we cannot continue in this way. And the best thing is to let me go. So, it didn't come to me.
Does Ami Boyang has a hand in it, you think?
No. I mean, honestly, I don't think she has a hand in it. I mean, she has nothing to do with the appointment of ministers or the sacking of ministers.
Well, your portfolio, some were saying that the portfolios were duplicated. Of course, now it is clear. She says she's the personal assistant or press secretary to the president. And of course, the spokesperson of the government is for the government as a whole. But during those times, there were some duplications of efforts between your work mom sometimes. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree. Ami Bojan, as the DPPR, that is the Director of Public Press and Public Relations, is supposed to be the spokesperson of the presidency. She's supposed to, only speak on behalf of the presidency. And the Minister of Information then was supposed to be the government spokesperson, the overall spokesperson of the government. But, there was no fine line drawn between what she would say and what the spokesperson would say. We used to tackle that a bit, because we thought probably, well, again, it's a new dispensation. It will, there could be some kind of overlapping in the roles of what we are playing. And then it will certainly take a while before we can be able to, put all those things in place. But that was the case. It was supposed to be these two distinct portfolios. One talking about the presidency only, and the other one for the overall government thing. But sometimes in her press briefings, you will hear her talking about issues that dealing with the government in general, rather than restricting herself to the presidency. Those are all part of the teaching issues of a new government. Of course, you can understand.
Oh, okay. Were you redeployed when you were sacked or when you were removed from your duties as minister? Were you redeployed to any? Yes, obviously everybody that was sacked was kind of put in a nice way that you have been redeployed to the foreign service. Were you also redeployed to the foreign service, and why didn't you take it? We heard Fatma Tambayang saying that she was redeployed, but it was a demotion for her, and that's why she didn't take it. Were you redeployed to the foreign service, or were you terminated altogether?
Fortunately, in my case, I was not deployed to any other place. I was just let go, and I was told that, that was the end of the road as far as being minister is concerned, and that's it. I was not redeployed to any other place whatsoever.
So, if you were redeployed, will you go? Will you continue to serve in a different capacity?
Well, honestly, I don't think I would have gone.
If you were deployed, you wouldn't go. Why? Why?
I'm not. I mean, I think it's a question of trying to cross the bridge until you reach the bridge. I don't think the question now arises if I were deployed. I think that is
you said you wouldn't go.
Sure.
You said you wouldn't go if you were deployed. Why? And you said earlier, huh?
I say I don't think I would have gone.
You don't
depending on the circumstances. Fortunately, the circumstances didn't arise. So I think we can leave it at that.
Mr. Jawo, junja doy na borom xel de sa papi serel nga waxal. Junja doy na borom xel. Yane all was in juicy. Wow. All that glitter was in gold. In other words, that's what you told us. Lichi birak lichi biti liñ xamut mo opa liñ xam. I will tell you. Niko ko de waxe rek liñ ma wax liñ ma waxut man loolu laa gën a dégg nga mem mooy ima mem foññe nga wala gën a mooy daan ye mem foññe liñ ma waxut moom laa gën a dégg daan liñ ma wax ma wala ko rek
really
waaw
no li ma laa rek xam nga rek situation bi is a question of not actually well it would be hard to say outright na duma don't do them, depending on the circumstances. I think the approach, the circumstances all matter. So I mean, so it would not be quite prudent on my part to say I would not have gone. I mean, not knowing what it would have entailed.
Nobody have been saying a lot of things relating to your firing or your sacking. Yep. Fatmata Jallow, for example, Tamba Jango said, okay, binko fire, dafne mom do them. She sat in the office for several hours saying that she wasn't going to leave. In your case, when you were told, did you just pack up your things and left? Or were you in denial? Did you say, no, I'm not going to go? Huh?
No. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I just shook his hands and, thank him for working with me. And that's it. So, straight to my office, pack my personal stuff, and then, told this, the permanent secretary, the driver, the orderly, and everybody else that I've received this letter, and that's it. So, and that was the last time Madam office until Madam hand over, to the new minister. That was it.
Ibrahim Asila, used to work under you, the new minister was used to work under you as DG of GRTS. Some would say, okay, Moto Gayefi, he was there. Of course, apparently President Barrow came from UDP and UDP and he's still UDP and is dynamic member. And of course, more powerful than even DA because he has direct access to the president and the vice president and accuse them more neka behind it. Is that true? What would be your reaction to Ibrahim Asila being behind your firing?
No, I would not. When they how much President Barrow certain. I mean that is up to him. So Dewa Kotoga Dewa or something like that. I think it is prerogative of the president, to appoint anybody he feels like appointing and sack anybody he does it feels like not being able to work with. So Tumal can definitely no.
Oh, okay. So you were not called to work. If you were to be called again by the president, Muhayala, to work for him again, will you work? Will you accept his appointment? If President Barrow was to call you again?
Yeah, I mean, you are still pushing me to that little corner, honestly, I don't want to be categorical in saying, no, I wouldn't go back, or no, I wouldn't. I mean, depending on the circumstances, the approach, and a lot of other factors, depending a lot of other factors as well. Yeah.
You will have to put in your own demands and principles and, say this is how I would want to do it. This condition and that condition, is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm not definitely telling you that. Why everything depends on a lot of other factors as well. You know,
Do
it's just not a question
but
of
do you see that
one
coming?
fine day, mujel telephone,
Mm-hmm.
mujel telephone, call my, come back, you know, I'll put you on this and that. I don't think it will be that cheap, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
Jammeh used to do that. He hired and fired and hired and fired some people 3 times, 2 times, 4 times.
Yeah, I think that depends on the people that he was hiring and firing. But there are people he hired and fired, and you know, he wanted them back, and they never wanted to get back, and they never got back to him. I think there are principles certain people have to, you know. I mean, people have principles, and you know, I don't think those principles
with what is happening with the vice president, between him and vice president, he is no longer part of UDP. There are high hopes and speculations that he will form his own party, and before then, a lot of the people that are from the UDP in his government may end up leaving, and at that point, he may have to mobilize other people to fake and non either he fires them or they quit on their own, especially when the elections are close. You would not go back if he's to call you to say, okay, DA kat daf ñu daan wax lii ak lii ak lii foog naa ne koto xaaral ma xicca koto mu ñëwaat mu call apologize si pet loolu du man lu maa xam lu ñun public bi lu ñoo xam ne la koto of course xam naa ne make nañ mistakes lii ak lii but ñëwal ñu liggéey dinañ la déglu gis naa ne li nga doon wax what you were telling me I see it A, B, and C. Would you not accept it?
No, listen, I mean, you know, the population of the Gambia is almost 2 million people. You know, I mean, there are here wide, you know, area that he can cast his net and get people to replace whoever he's going to get, you know. And so even use someone like that, or, you know, the information minister, or Minister of Foreign Affairs or whatever.
I don't see that coming. Man, I don't see that coming in my part.
I'm going to say you are particular about food security. I'm going to the Minister of Agriculture.
Why? What if we get an dong? Lu hechi, lu duf si chin be hejut si, lu duf si nak be hejut si chin be. It was a hectic 2 hours. I had to exhaust some of these things. I see you sweating over there. Your final words to our listeners and viewers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really delighted to have been part of this program. As I said, I used to, you know, watch Gambian Talents TV online, and then I never knew that it has reached this level of development. Honestly, I'm really impressed with what people are doing, and I think you deserve a pat on the back, and you deserve also some, you know, some assistance, you know, I mean, from people who are interested in helping this country develop. If people like you are assisted in, you know, the training that you are undertaking, trying to empower the young people of this country, honestly, I think you deserve it. And I'm really happy, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to interact with your listeners and you know, viewers as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We truly appreciate that. You recommending us to the people to support us and recognizing the work that we are doing. I must say you are also, for the record, from what we've seen, when you were minister, you were very humble and your doors were open. Even though we were under you, we contacted you on several occasions, a lot of them very last minute stuff. For you to come and attend our programs. Where you were not able to come, you always sent us somebody to come and represent you. You never closed your doors and you never said no to us at any point. We lolo fog ñu sédel la ko ne yes lolo am la bu baax and it is something that we appreciate as an institution working under you, relied on you to come and share your experience, come and bless what we were doing. I mean, encourage the new generation or the young generation to hear a few words from you. You were always there, and Lolo is something that we have to recognize. We had a very smooth working relationship with you and the current minister as well, Ibrahim Asila, and of course GPU. We had a meeting with Sirif Jr. not long ago, and we are doing everything possible to contact stakeholders in the media fraternity. We are new, we are young, we are trying to grow, and like you said, a lot of people don't know how far our little struggle or our little corner has gone, or the magnitude of what we are doing there. So we want to encourage people to try to find out. We are showing you different things every day. Even if you see our productions, you will see a lot of changes in what we are doing. You will see us bringing you a lot of quality programming and the like. So we want to encourage you all to support us and continue to support us, definitely, because your support can go a long way. And that is why if you are watching, you can click that green button that is next to the comment section with the love sign in it. If you do, it will take you to a link where you can contribute $5 a month and you will become a subscriber to the Gambian Talents channel. Or you can donate us one time through our PayPal. Cham Juf is watching. He said, good interview, Pa Usman. He said, Gambian Abroad said, I remember listening to him every Sunday as a guest at Sunday News Hour. He always was frequently invited. Not a good person. Loolu la wax moom mu ne mu ngi seetaan ci jamono jii nii. Ñu ngi leen ay bëggee bu baax a baax a baax. Whoever is watching us either through Facebook, through YouTube, or listening to us through WhatsApp, we appreciate you taking the time. It is a fast show coming from the Gambian Talents TV. Pa Ousmane Diouf nekkal leen ci gannaaw microphone bi. I was with Imam Babali and Uncle Sajo Jallow yesterday. Imam Babali is in town, and I told them I was going to have an interview with you. Mune manga nuyul mako. You know, Uncle Sajo mune Uncle Lamga, Imam Babali ne manga, make sure you don't take it too hard on him, because Sajo dulame jabar. So get a hard on his uncle. But yes, I was with them yesterday, last night, and he said hi to you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's Dimba Ali Jawo. Thank you very much, and we appreciate it. Till we come your way tomorrow with the Open Mic Festival team. Don't forget, tonight we'll bring you the church coverage at the Canifing Church, Cathedral Church. Tonight we'll bring that for our Christian brothers and sisters. We'll bring you that mass. Tomorrow we will be in Banjul to bring you the hunting and the ambience. In the night we will be bringing you the Egere, and our Semester Avenue show continues. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for more programs. Please share this video, and thank you very much for watching and listening. Jërë ngeen jëf waay.
Woo!